Hi, my name is Darshan. I play top lane for CLG, and my meta pick is Fiora.
Oh, Flame's in trouble.
Whoa, he went back out! Oh, Flash is in, 1-for-1. See this fight against Pobelter. He is in the minions trying to reach the vitals. Bottom side, dashes for it. Pobelter hiding it against the wall. Could come up with the kill. Oh, he gets it!
Darshan's here.
Darshan is in. They're on to Flame. They said, tank, what tank? Cut him down and make him some lumber.
Fiora would be my meta pick because I feel like she's one of the best split pushers in the game. And I feel like, similar to champions like Riven and Yasuo, she has a very, very high skill cap for things you can do with the champion. And you can definitely outplay your opponents in so many crazy ways. So that's why I love playing her. And I still feel like I'll never master the champion. You'd pick Fiora into tanks in the meta like Nautilus and Maokai because she just does really well against those champions. Yeah, so Fiora's passive is one of the most interesting mechanics in the game because it kind of like has a new mini game. And basically what it is like basically on one side of the champion, a vital will appear and you can proc it and it'll give you a heal and it'll also do max % true health damage. And that also scales the more AD you get. So that's when Fiora gets insane because late game, each vital does 20% max health damage and you can actually one-shot people, even tanks, with your ultimate. Yeah, so with her passive, one of the neat tricks I do for laning phase is it's always good to walk up to your lane opponent before the minions spawn if you can do safely because the vitals will either spawn on the front or the back. So if you see the champion and the vitals spawn in the back and then you back up, the next time you see the champion, the vitals will spawn in the front. So it's always good to, whenever you're fighting in lane or even at level 1, to find which vital you get, and then if it's a good or bad vital, reset the vital so that when you get into lane, you can get that good vital. Fiora's Q is her bread and butter ability and mobility skill. It basically is like a on-hit dash ability, and it targets the closest thing you land near. And it's very helpful for poking in lane and proccing vitals, and that's basically how you proc vitals in lane with the Q usually. So Fiora's W is like probably one of the coolest abilities in the game and has the highest outplay potential. I don't know if you guys have ever played Yu-Gi-Oh, but I did a little bit when I was in middle school, and it kind of reminds me of the card Magical Cylinders because you kind of like take an ability and then if you like dodge at the right time, you like hit it back out and you stun them.
Sorry to disappoint you, Yugi. Huh? You triggered my trap card!
And it's also really rewarding when you outplay an opponent because you know they're gonna throw a CC or you know an ability is coming and you block it with your W. I think it's like one of the coolest abilities in the game, and the reason why I love playing Fiora so much is because you can never get good enough at using that ability. There's just so many crazy ways you can outplay your opponent. I don't know, I just love that ability. A neat trick with the W too is you can use the W while you're using your Q. So like if you're dashing towards someone, you can activate W at any time because a lot of players when they're playing against Fiora think that the best time to CC Fiora is when she's shooting her Q because she's stuck in the animation, but you can still always use W. So Fiora's E is like a basic auto attack reset, but what's added on to that is a slow for the first auto and then a crit for the second auto. And that's as standard as it gets. You know, if you're like trading in lane or fighting, it's like Q, auto, E. So Fiora's ultimate is basically what allows her to shred tanks so much and makes her scale so hard is because the passive vital, it basically makes 4 of them go around the champion, and that'll basically allow you to duel almost any champion in the game if you can ultimate them and land all 4 vitals. Something to keep in mind whenever you're using the ultimate is everyone is going to want to go towards the wall they're closest to when you ulti. So whenever you're playing Fiora, it's just good to have in the back of your mind, like, I'm going to hit the vital that they're closest to, like on the wall they're closest to. So with Fiora, you're always going to max Q first, then E, putting points on ulti whenever possible. And that's just always going to be how it is on Fiora. I don't think I'd ever change that. So for Fiora, I always go attack damage reds, health per level yellows, CDR per level blues, and then attack speed quints. And then for the blues, you can swap that out for magic resist. And then for the yellows, you can switch that out for armor if you're against an AD or AP champion, depending. So if you don't need MR, like say you're against an AD champion, you would just run armor and then you'd run CDR per level blues on Fiora because CDR is just insanely strong on Fiora once you start scaling. On Fiora, I always go 18-0-12. Fervor is pretty strong right now on this patch, and you always want to get the reduced summoner spell CD and the increased healing, so you go 12 in defense and then 18 in offense. Yeah, so the same items I always build for Fiora is Black Cleaver, Ravenous Hydra, Bloodthirster, and Guardian Angel. And usually it's almost always like, first item you want to get like a Tiamat or a Phage, depending on if you need HP, then you can get the Phage first. If you need if you just need wave clear and push, Tiamat's always better for more pressure. And then usually you want to rush the Ravenous Hydra. And then after that you want to get the Black Cleaver for more tankiness and CDR. And then from that point, if you want to team fight more and if you want to get a little more tanky, you can get a Guardian Angel, which is always a solid option. Or if you want to go completely for damage and split push, you get the Bloodthirster. And then fourth item, whichever one you didn't get, you get the other one. And then after that, it's completely situational on, do I need more tank items or do I need more damage? And you can build, like Blade of the Ruin King isn't even bad now. You can get Frozen Mallet, you can get Randuin's, you could get Spirit Visage. There's like a lot of different defensive options after those four. Yeah, so whenever you play Fiora, she's kind of a split pusher, and the most important thing is farming to get your items to when you actually are unkillable. So I think whenever you play Fiora, you should just focus on farming and focus on like getting good poke, but you don't want to be looking to roam around the map. You don't want to be looking to team fight early necessarily. You just want to be in the side lane, splitting as much as possible and pressuring as much as possible. And once you get to your 2 item or 3 item mark is when you can really carry the game. So I think that's kind of the mindset you should have when you play Fiora. Yeah, so Fiora in the laning phase, her strongest asset is her ability to poke and then not take damage in return because of how her vitals are. So whenever you have good vitals, you always want to hit those and then focus on CS. And then if it's a bad vital, that's always dependent on how they're positioning in the lane. But you should always use the good vital to pressure them off the wave. And then if they walk up for the trade is when you can abuse that. And then when they get to like half or below half is when you can look for the all-in. And then when you hit level 6, your ultimate, whenever they're in the middle of the lane, you can always use your ultimate to get like a really strong chunk if you're against a tank to have pressure in the lane. But usually if it's a more volatile matchup against like a carry, you want to save your ultimate because if your ultimate is down, then you have no pressure. So it just depends on whether you're against a carry or a tank, but you always want to look to poke and just farm up. Yeah, so Fiora in the team fights she's still pretty damn squishy, but her biggest asset is her ultimate. And you don't want to waste that because that's what can win or lose you a team fight. And knowing when to use your ultimate is basically knowing when their tanks engage or when somebody on their team engages. So when someone uses their escape, like say Gragas body slam flashes in, then you know it's a great time to ultimate him because he doesn't have anything to get out. And if you proc that, you get the heal for your whole team and the tank's just going to get shredded by your ultimate. But you don't want to use your ultimate when Gragas hasn't used his body slam. He's kind of walking up, kind of baiting you to use your ultimate. That's the worst time to ulti. So the biggest thing on Fiora is you just want to like poke at vitals on the front line and then look for a time to ulti their tank. Because Fiora isn't really that strong of a diver. My meta pick is Fiora. I hope you guys learned a thing or two about split pushing and kind of try playing the game in UA because I know a lot of people love to pick those team fighting champions, but I really love switching up the play style and kind of going more towards a split push oriented style. So definitely try out Fiora. Tell me how you liked the split pushing action. And thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and make sure to follow CLG for more meta pick videos.